Before I hit autistic burnout, I was a skin specialist. I had built my own business from scratch and maintained that for 4 years. Autistic burnout came and yeah, everything crumbled. No longer a skin specialist professionally, technically, I guess. I don't have my skin clinic anymore. I overnight pretty much had to blow up my life because I just couldn't cope anymore. I couldn't do the things that I was doing, and obviously dealing with no longer having a career, something I'd built and hustled for 4 years, definitely a leading cause of the autistic burnout. That is gone, and then it was the grief of trying to understand myself and who I actually was and what this meant going forward. And I lost friendships because of this. I understand how people really think about me now in my personal relationships, because obviously when you're going through such a hard time, it shows you the people that are willing to show up for you and the people that aren't. It's been probably the most difficult 6 months I've ever had in my entire life, and I have been through a lot of really hard traumatic things in my life. It really shows the depth and the struggle of this situation, just how exhausting it is to be a human being. Like, that's the only way that I can explain it. Like, for the first few months of burnout, I thought I was depressed. I was still doing some of the things that I was doing beforehand. I was going to the gym, but it was less regularly, and I really struggled with going and being around people. I found it incredibly hard to reply to people's messages. Like, I was basically ghosting people, not because I wanted to, but because I physically couldn't bring myself to message people back, because it felt like such a high demand that I just didn't have capacity for. And then after a few months of barely scraping by, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And this was around the time that I properly dived into autism and researching it, because I was kind of in denial for a few months. I was just like, is that me? I don't know. And then I proper dived into it. I read Ellie Middleton's Unmasked book, highly recommend, and that ripped me wide open. It was from that moment on that I couldn't be in denial about the autism anymore. And yeah, I just went down rabbit hole after rabbit hole and researched and educated myself and spoke to loads of autistic people and read about loads of people's experiences. And then I decided to start posting on social media about my experiences with autism, because it was undeniable at that point that I am autistic. I just started building a community over on my Instagram, and the amount of people that now message me every single day and say how seen I feel from the content that I make and my experiences, and sharing that vulnerability with you, it makes me feel so much more validated in myself and my experiences and how hard things are, because at least my hard experiences are helping other people feel seen in their experiences and realise that they're not alone in that, because it's so isolating. But definitely from that point of accepting, definitely the first stages of accepting the autism, that was when the burnout properly hit. That is it, it hit me so hard that I literally just cried for a month to 2 months straight. I barely left the house, and then weird things started happening which I've read about, but I still don't fully understand it, to be honest, because to me it just doesn't make any logical sense. So I started, I guess, what people call regression, skill regression, and sensitivity to stimulation, so sound, bright lights, anything like that would slightly irritate me before. It was the most intense period, the most intense I've ever felt it, where it was like I was going to shower and I'd never thought I had issues with showering before, and then all of a sudden the actual pressure of the shower was too harsh on my skin, and it made me want to cry. Everything made me want to cry. That to me is when I know that I'm overstimulated, is that feeling of, oh my god, I want to start bawling my eyes out because I'm so frustrated and feel so irritated by the sensation that I just feel like I want to bawl and like hide and be in a very dark place dark, like physically arms overhead hiding situation. And yeah, from that point on I was like, okay, what is going on? And yeah, then lots and lots and lots of shutdowns, few meltdowns. I know I'm one of those people that I mainly get shutdowns. I don't really get meltdowns, and my meltdowns don't look very out there. Is that the right word? Like external, because obviously meltdowns usually are more external. My meltdowns basically are me crying my eyes out, like proper crying my eyes out. Like it's a bit more than that, but that's how I'm gonna explain it for now. And yeah, most days it's hard to do things. I'm still kind of deep in this, even though I know that I've got a lot of my capacity back compared to when I first started going through this burnout. I know that I'm still massively struggling, and I feel like some of it as well is also just the financial pressure of being in burnout, not having a job, not having like proper income, and just kind of like surviving, because I physically can't bring myself to do much today. Even this, I feel like I'm pushing myself maybe a bit too much to make this video, because I can feel how like hard this is for me to record, whereas I've been talking to cameras for 4 years of my life with building my skin clinic and stuff, but I know that today feels harder to kind of articulate myself and things like that. So I know that today isn't probably the best day to be doing this. Don't recommend to push through. But here we are, and it just feels so debilitating all of the time, and just kind of like I feel very stuck. It's like I'm trying to progress my life. I'm trying to now build something to build a job, because I just don't know what else to do. I physically cannot bring myself to go back to a social facing, service based or traditional job, because I physically just cannot. Like, I know that I would collapse immediately, and I don't even think I could get through the first hurdle of that, to be honest. Like, on a very soul level, I know that, and obviously that doesn't leave me with a lot of options, or at least that's how it feels at the moment. I'm on universal credit, thank god that we have that privilege in the UK. I am so privileged, and I count my lucky stars every single day that I still live at home with my mum, and she is very graciously feeding me and housing me, and I honestly don't know how people deal with it when they aren't in the privileged situation that I am, because it is so hard out here. And I feel like there just really isn't that much support, especially if you're not formally diagnosed, because people don't want to know. And also, every single professional appointment that I'm going to, whether it's universal credit, whether it's, you know, going to the doctors, whatever professional facing appointment, or just whatever social interaction really, and when you say you're autistic and that you're struggling with your health and you're struggling to live, it's met with such, maybe it's just ableism and such like premeditated ideas of what that is. And I feel like people look at you but they don't understand the weight and the depth of the situation, or they just don't want to know. And it's so incredibly frustrating, because this is disabling my life. I can't physically leave the house most days. It's hard enough to make my own food. Some days I'm completely shut down, most days to be honest, and you know that means that I struggle with mobility. I physically struggle to get around the house like and use knives and forks and talk, and there's times where my speech is like slurred and I go mute, and it's hard, and I just don't understand how to build a life that accommodates autism without me struggling all of the time. And then it makes me so confused because it's like I've lived, you know, 24 years to this point, and I was coping enough beforehand that it feels just so frustrating that I can cope so well before and now barely scrape by when I'm the same person, but it's like my capability was taken away with the acceptance of being autistic, and I think that's so confusing. I really just don't understand it. I guess in some ways it makes sense because the metaphor that kind of comes to my mind is like, okay, you've got like a stove on, and you know that your hand isn't going to touch that stove because your brain processes it as that's a risk, right? So you're not going to actively like put your hand in the stove because your brain's like, no, that would hurt you. So I guess it's like, now that your brain is aware of the things that have been causing you harm, like, you know, me building a business for 4 years and constantly hustling and the burnout that led to, it now, your brain won't let you touch that stuff. It won't let you do the things that cause you harm before, now that it's got the awareness of it. And that's the only thing where I can kind of get my head around it, because it's really confusing. It's so confusing. And yeah, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. I'm trying to stay positive every day. I'm one of those people that's very much just like, silver linings, yay. And building a community on Instagram and helping other people feel seen is my way of coping right now, because I'm helping other people with my hard experience, which makes it feel, I don't know if easy is the right word, but nicer that my hard experience is equating to something positive in some regard. And obviously in other ways it's like, I'm glad this has happened now. This could have happened when I'd already moved out of my parents' house, and you know, this could have happened in a more severe way. I could have been homeless right now. There is so many different ways this could be so much worse, and I try and appreciate my privilege every single day that I'm in the situation when I am and have the support system that I do. But it is also hard at the same time. Like, that doesn't change that it is hard, it just changes that it could be harder, Tabby. Like, could be harder. So yeah, that is kind of like an overview of what's been going on, and kind of like an update of Autistic Burnout. I obviously, with being on Universal Credit, I've got a work coach, which is kind of hard to navigate because it feels like I'm constantly having to advocate for myself and explain autism, which isn't ideal. But yeah, so she wants me to write an ebook on something. What I'm going to start doing, I'm going to write a book on skin health and how that affects autistic people, because obviously I have a whole life of experiencing this. I have all of the education, all the knowledge on skin health, so hopefully I can help other people that have experienced what I've experienced, you know, acne, inflammatory skin disorders, all of these things that are affected by dysregulated nervous systems, which as an autistic person you will experience a dysregulated nervous system because you feel the world on such a high percent of everything. But that is what's going to happen next. Yeah, I was making bows. Yeah, they were pretty cute. I'm still making bows. I've been struggling so much with cognitive dysfunction and friction, and bows have a lot of process. Like, there's a lot of steps. There's like 10 steps or more to make a bow, and as beautiful as they are, I'm struggling to get started with each step because it feels very like a lot of capacity needed to do that. So I've been trying to make them for over a month and a half, and I've made 4 and I haven't even finished the 4, so it's not a viable business option for me, sadly. Another thing that I am doing is making crystal bracelets, which I really do love, because I've been using crystal bracelets or baubles for the last 10 years to stim with, and I just never realised that's what I was doing. I always wear crystal bracelets, they always come off and I'm always fiddling with them, so I thought I would make some specifically for autistic people that have different parts to them. So for example, here's one I've just made, and it's got clear discs here, so like these turn round and like they've got a different texture. So yeah, I'm making those and selling them on Etsy. I'm trying to actively help myself, it's just really hard because I just don't know what to do. I'm honestly just hoping one day I start getting paid from my social media, because that is the only liable option that feels right for me. I would love to go into public speaking. I would love to make songs reflecting my autistic experience, because I've always wanted to be a singer. So like, I have a lot of dreams, I just don't know how they're plausible in the capacity of accommodating them with my autism. I have started making a series of this on my Instagram, so go check that out if you'd like to, and it's basically building my dream life whilst autistic, and kind of just helped me motivate myself, to be honest. And a lot of people seem to really like the series, because obviously it's also normalizing that you can do things while autistic, you just have to make accommodations to make that feasible. So yeah, I think that's the whole update. I haven't been uploading on YouTube very often, mainly because I haven't had the capacity. Like I said, today it was really hard to just even start making this video, and I've really struggled to articulate myself in this whole video, which probably has been kind of obvious. But it is what it is. I'm gonna end this here because I can feel that I'm getting a bit overstimulated. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope that if you're going through something similar, you've been through or going through autistic burnout, that you're giving yourself so much self-love, self-compassion, and also just taking one day at a time, because that is realistically the only way you get through this. And that I'm just sending you so much love, because it's so difficult. If you want to follow me over on Instagram, I'll leave the links below. I would obviously love to have you over there. And yeah, please subscribe, like, and all that type of thing, and I will see you very soon. Thank you for watching.